The sky was dark with smoke. 3 days had passed since the alien ships left Earth. They came without warning, attacked without mercy, and left without reason. Now only ruins remained where great cities once stood. Captain Park Ji-won climbed over broken concrete and twisted metal. His uniform was dirty and torn. The military base he once commanded was now just a memory. But today he had a mission. "Captain, over here!" Engineer Kim Do-hyun waved from the edge of a massive crater. Her face was smudged with dirt, but her eyes were bright with excitement. Ji-won made his way to her, careful not to slip on the loose rocks. When he reached the edge, he stopped and stared. In the center of the crater lay something that did not belong on Earth. A massive piece of twisted metal, clearly not human-made. The surface shimmered with strange colors that seemed to move when you weren't looking directly at them. "Is that what I think it is?" Ji-won asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Yes, sir. A piece of their ship," Do-hyun confirmed. "When our forces managed to hit one of the smaller enemy vessels, it crashed here. The aliens retrieved most of the wreckage, but they missed this section." Ji-won slid down the side of the crater, his boots kicking up dust. The closer he got to the alien metal, the more his skin tingled. It wasn't radiation. Their detectors would have picked that up. It was something else, something unknown. "Have you gone inside?" he asked. "Just a quick look. There's a torn section where we can enter. The internal structure is mostly intact." They approached a jagged opening in the hull. Ji-won shined his flashlight inside, revealing corridors and rooms designed for beings not of Earth. The walls were covered in strange symbols. Some panels still glowed faintly with power. "Their technology," Do-hyun whispered in awe. "It's decades, maybe centuries beyond ours." Ji-won ran his hand along a smooth surface that hummed slightly at his touch. "This is what we need," he said firmly. "This is how we survive." The world leaders had already been meeting, trying to count the dead and rebuild what was lost. Humanity had lost nearly 1 billion people in the short but devastating attack. Major cities around the world lay in ruins. The aliens, the Vex as they called themselves in their single transmission before the attack, had almost wiped out human civilization. Almost. "Get me the secure line to the president," Ji-won ordered, "and contact every scientist, engineer, and physicist who survived. Tell them we found something that will change everything." Within days, the site was transformed. Military personnel secured the perimeter while scientists from around the world arrived. The crater became the most important place on Earth, the place where humanity would find its redemption. Dr. Lee Minji, a brilliant physicist who had lost her entire family in the Seoul attack, was one of the first to arrive. Her hands trembled as she examined the alien power core. "This shouldn't be possible," she whispered. "It defies our understanding of physics." "But it works," Ji-won said simply. "And we need to understand how." As weeks turned into months, the research facility grew. The world's governments, for once united by a common enemy, poured resources into the project. The remaining piece of the alien ship yielded secrets slowly, reluctantly, but each discovery brought humanity one step closer to the stars. 1 year after the attack, Ji-won stood in the newly built command center overlooking the alien wreckage. Maps showed the destruction across Earth, but they also showed something new: hope. Factories were being built, resources gathered, plans made. "The propulsion system analysis is complete," Do-hyun reported, handing him a tablet. "We can replicate it. Not as efficiently as theirs, but enough to reach their home system." "And the weapons?" Ji-won asked. "We understand the basic principles. The rest will come with time." Ji-won nodded, his face set with grim determination. "Time is something we have. The Vex think they've won. They think they've left us broken and defeated. But they made a mistake." "What mistake?" asked Minji, looking up from her workstation. "They left us alive," Ji-won said. "And they left us a piece of their technology. That's all we needed." In the years that followed, humanity changed. Old conflicts were set aside. Resources once used for fighting each other were now directed toward a single goal: reaching the stars and finding those who had tried to destroy them. The research facility, now called Phoenix Base, became the center of human innovation. Children who had survived the attacks grew up learning alien mathematics and physics. Soldiers trained with new weapons based on Vex technology. 5 years after the attack, the first human-made ship using alien principles rose from Earth's surface without using a single drop of rocket fuel. It wasn't much, just a small test vehicle, but it represented something profound. humanity's first step toward the stars using the enemy's own technology. 10 years after the attack, the first space station built with the new technology was completed in orbit. From there, larger ships could be constructed without fighting Earth's gravity. Ji-won, now General Park, watched from the station's observation deck as construction began on humanity's first true warship. His hair had turned gray, but his resolve had only strengthened. "We'll be ready soon," said Do-hyun, now Director of Engineering for the United Earth Defense Force. 15 years, Ji-won replied. 15 years since they came. Do you think they remember us? Probably not. We were just another world to them. Another conquest. Ji-won's eyes narrowed as he watched workers assemble the frame of the massive ship that would carry humanity's vengeance to the stars. Then we'll make sure they never forget us again. 15 years had passed since the Vex attack. Earth had changed in ways no one could have imagined before. Cities were rebuilt, stronger and more advanced than before. But the biggest changes were happening in space. The orbital shipyards above Earth were massive structures of metal and light. Here, humanity built its future, and its revenge. Dr. Lee Minji stood at the viewport of Research Station 1, watching as workers in spacesuits moved around the nearly completed hull of the EDS Vengeance. At over 1 kilometer long, it was the largest ship humans had ever built. Impressive, isn't it? Minji turned to see General Kang Tae-ho approaching. Once a junior officer during the invasion, he now commanded Earth's defense forces. His face bore scars from the battles on Earth, reminders of what they had lost. "It's more than impressive," Minji replied. "It's a miracle. 15 years ago, we barely understood how the alien ship worked. Now we're building our own," Tae-ho nodded. "And not just copies. Your team improved their designs." Minji smiled with quiet pride. "The Vex developed their technology over centuries. We didn't have that luxury. We had to innovate, find shortcuts, make improvements where we could." They watched as a massive weapon system was moved into position on the Vengeance's hull. It was based on Vex designs but modified by human engineers to be more efficient and powerful. "Will it be enough?" Tae-ho asked quietly. "To find them?" "Yes, to fight them?" Minji paused. "That depends on how many of them there are." The United Earth Defense Council meeting room was filled with representatives from every major nation. At the center of the room stood a holographic display showing the 6 completed warships: Vengeance, Retribution, Justice, Reckoning, Judgment, and Remembrance. President Choi addressed the assembly. 15 years of work, 15 years of sacrifice. Today we stand ready to take our place among the stars, not as explorers, that dream was taken from us, but as survivors seeking justice. He gestured to a woman sitting quietly at the side of the room. "Dr. Lee has an announcement regarding our search for the Vex homeworld." Minji stood and approached the holographic display. With a wave of her hand, the image changed to show a star map. 3 months ago, our deep space arrays detected signals matching Vex communication patterns. We've tracked them to this star system, approximately 120 light-years from Earth. Murmurs filled the room. Minji continued. "Thanks to the propulsion technology we developed from the crashed ship, our fleet can reach this location in approximately 4 months." General Kang stepped forward. "The 6 ships are ready. Their crews have trained for this mission their entire adult lives. We recommend immediate deployment." President Choi looked around the room. "If there are no objections, the mission is approved. Operation Nemesis begins now." No one objected. Humanity had waited 15 years for this moment. 2 days later, Captain Yoon Sun-woo stood on the bridge of the EDS Vengeance. At 45 years old, he had been just a child during the Vex invasion. His parents had died defending Seoul. Now, he commanded humanity's most powerful warship. All systems check complete. "Captain," reported Navigation Officer Choi Yuna. "The fleet is in formation and ready for jump." Sun-woo nodded. "Open channel to all ships." When the communication line was open, he spoke clearly and firmly. "This is Captain Yoon. Today we leave our home system for the first time in human history. We carry with us the hopes of Earth and the memory of those we lost. Our mission is clear. Find the Vex, determine their capabilities and intentions, and ensure the safety of Earth. If possible, establish communication. If necessary," he paused, "ensure they never threaten our world again." He looked around at his crew, men and women who had trained their entire lives for this moment. Jump on my mark. 3, 2, 1. Mark. Space bent around the 6 massive ships. Stars stretched into lines of light, and then they were gone, leaving Earth behind. The journey through faster-than-light travel was strange and disorienting. The ships existed in a state between normal space and somewhere else entirely. The technology that made this possible had been the hardest to understand from the alien wreckage, but human scientists had finally mastered it. 4 months passed. The crew maintained their training routines. Scientists continued their research. Weapons were checked and rechecked. Finally, Navigation Officer Yunha announced, "Approaching target system. Returning to normal space in 3 minutes." Sunwoo straightened his uniform. Battle stations. All ships prepare for possible hostile contact. The 6 ships emerged from FTL travel at the edge of an unfamiliar star system. Immediately, their sensors began scanning for signs of the Vex. "Captain," called out Sensor Officer Park Minho. "I'm detecting artificial structures on multiple planets and moons, advanced technology signatures and—" His voice faltered. "Ships. Many ships. Different designs than the ones that attacked Earth." Sunwoo leaned forward. "Show me." The main screen displayed a stunning sight. A bustling star system with space stations, planets showing signs of development, and vessels of various sizes moving between them. It wasn't just a single alien civilization, it was many. "We found something bigger than the Vex," Sunwoo said quietly. "We found a galactic community." The human fleet moved cautiously through the system, remaining at a safe distance from the alien traffic. Their ships, designed for stealth as well as combat, avoided detection as they gathered information. After 3 days of observation, Intelligence Officer Hanjina presented her findings to the fleet commanders. "We've identified at least 12 different species operating in this system. Based on communication patterns, we believe the Vex are the dominant power. The others appear to be subjects or clients." "An empire," Sunwoo said. "Yes, Captain, and not a benevolent one. We've observed forced labor, resource extraction, and military enforcement." Sunwoo's expression hardened. "And the Vex homeworld?" "Not in this system. But we've identified regular communication with a specific star approximately 30 light-years from here. That may be their home system." Sunwoo nodded. "Then we continue our search. But first," he turned to Communications Officer Kim Sora. "Can we intercept and translate their communications?" "Yes, Captain. Our systems are already adapting to their language patterns." "Good. It's time we learned everything we can about the enemy who thought they could destroy us and walk away." The human fleet moved silently through space, jumping from system to system, always watching, learning, gathering intelligence. They discovered a galaxy far more complex than anyone on Earth had imagined. The Vex Imperium controlled dozens of star systems. Some housed mining operations that stripped planets of valuable resources. Others were agricultural worlds where subject species grew food for their masters. A few were heavily fortified military bases, and everywhere there were signs of oppression. Captain Yoon Sunwoo stood on the observation deck of the EDS Vengeance, looking out at yet another alien world. This one was small, with blue-green oceans and purple landmasses. According to their scans, it was home to a species that had achieved roughly medieval-level technology before the Vex arrived. "They've been under Vex control for over 300 years, said Intelligence Officer Han Jina, consulting her tablet. "The natives are used primarily for manual labor and mineral extraction." Sunwoo's jaw tightened. "And the Vex presence?" "1 orbital station. 2 surface bases. Approximately 500 Vex personnel, mostly overseers and technicians. They have 3 small warships in orbit." Sunwoo turned to face the officers gathered on the deck. After 6 months in space, they had yet to engage directly with the Vex. They had observed, studied, and planned, but never revealed themselves. "It's time," he said simply. The other officers nodded. They had been waiting for this moment. Communication Officer Kim Sora spoke up. "Our translators are ready. We can now communicate with most species we've encountered, including the Vex." "And our weapons systems?" Sunwoo asked. Weapons Officer Lee Junho smiled slightly. "Ready and eager, Captain," Sunwoo nodded. "Prepare for combat operations. The EDS Justice and EDS Remembrance will remain in reserve positions. Vengeance, Retribution, Reckoning, and Judgment will move into the system. Our first target is the orbital station. The plan was executed with precision. 4 human warships appeared suddenly near the small planet. Before the Vex could respond, the EDS Vengeance fired a targeted electromagnetic pulse at the orbital station, disabling its communications and weapons. Vex warships are moving to intercept, reported Tactical Officer Bei Jiyong. They're charging weapons. Let them fire first, Sunwoo ordered. All ships defensive posture only until fired upon. The Vex didn't hesitate. Their lead ship fired energy weapons at the Vengeance. The shots were easily absorbed by the human vessel's shields based on Vex technology but improved by human engineers. Return fire, Sunwoo ordered calmly. Disable their propulsion and weapons. No unnecessary destruction. The human ships responded with precise fire. The Vex vessels, clearly surprised by the effectiveness of the attack, tried to retreat. Within minutes, all 3 were drifting, disabled but intact. Begin boarding operations, Sunwoo ordered. Secure the orbital station and the Vex bases on the surface. Minimal force against surrendering personnel. Human soldiers wearing advanced combat suits boarded the Vex station. The aliens, tall insectoid beings with 4 arms and compound eyes, were stunned to face humans. Many surrendered immediately. On the planet's surface, the liberation was met with confusion, then celebration. The native species, called the Tamil by their own language, had never seen creatures like humans before. But they quickly understood that their Vex overseers were being removed. 3 days later, Sunwoo stood before the Tamil leaders. Through translators, he explained who humans were and why they had come. The Vex attacked our world just as they attacked yours centuries ago, he told them. We fought back. Now we seek justice not just for ourselves, but for all who suffer under their rule. The Tamil leader, a female with purple-tinted skin, replied, In all our history, no one has ever challenged the Vex and won. They came from the stars and made us their slaves. We had forgotten what freedom feels like. Freedom is the right of all intelligent beings, Sunwoo said. We cannot stay to protect you, but we can give you the means to protect yourselves. In the days that followed, human engineers helped the Tamil take control of the Vex technology on their world. They taught them how to use the weapons and communication systems. They left behind supplies and knowledge. Before the fleet departed, the Tamil held a celebration. They called the humans the unexpected storm in their language, a force that had appeared suddenly and changed everything. As the human ships prepared to jump to their next destination, Communications Officer Sora approached Sunwoo. Captain, we've intercepted Vex communications. News of what happened here is spreading. They don't know who we are, but they're concerned about an unknown species interfering with their territory. Sunwoo nodded. Good, let them worry. We're just getting started. Over the next 3 years, the human fleet continued their campaign. They struck Vex outposts, freed enslaved species, and gathered allies. Each liberated world provided more information about Vex territory and defenses. The fleet grew as they built new ships using captured Vex facilities. Some members of liberated species joined the humans in their fight. What had begun as a mission of reconnaissance had become a war of liberation. Admiral Han Junho, now commander of the 30-ship human armada, gathered his captains for a strategic meeting aboard the flagship EDS Retribution. The time has come, he announced, displaying a holographic map of Vex space. We've identified their homeworld. Our intelligence suggests that most of their military leadership is located there. If we strike now, we can end this war in one decisive battle. Captain Park Ji-hye, commander of the EDS Justice, asked, What about the worlds we've freed? The Vex could retaliate against them. That's why we'll split our forces, Junho explained. 20 ships will remain behind to protect our allies. The other 10 will strike directly at the Vex homeworld. The plan was bold and dangerous. The Vex homeworld would be heavily defended. But after 3 years of fighting, humanity had learned much about their enemy, and the Vex had still not realized who they were facing. One more thing, Junho said. It's time the Vex learned exactly who they're fighting. Prepare the message we discussed. Broadcast it across all Vex frequencies just before we attack. The captains nodded grimly. The message had been prepared long ago, waiting for this moment. As the fleet moved into position near the Vex homeworld, Communications Officer Park Minho looked to Admiral Junho. The message is ready, sir. Junho nodded. Send it. Throughout Vex space, on every screen and communication device, the faces of human men and women appeared. They spoke in the Vex language, their voices clear and determined. You came to our world. You slaughtered our people. You left us for dead. We are humanity. We have not forgotten. We have not forgiven, and we have returned. The Vex homeworld hung in space like a jewel, a planet of gleaming cities and massive orbital structures. For thousands of years, the Vex had ruled their section of the galaxy without serious challenge. Other species feared them or served them. None dared to attack them directly, until now. Admiral Han Junho stood on the bridge of the EDS Retribution as the human fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel just outside the Vex defense perimeter. 10 warships, the best humanity had built, prepared for the hardest battle they had ever faced. Status report. Junho ordered. Vex defenses are mobilizing, reported Tactical Officer Park Ji-hye. They have 23 warships in orbit and multiple defense platforms. Ground-based weapons are powering up. They're hailing us, added Communications Officer Bae Minjin. They're demanding identification. Junho smiled grimly. They received our message. They know who we are. All ships, battle formation Delta. Begin approach. The human fleet moved with precision toward the planet. Vex commanders, finally understanding who these attackers were, ordered all available ships to defend their homeworld. They're committing their entire home fleet, Ji-hye observed. Just as we expected, Junho nodded, and leaving their other territories vulnerable. Send the signal to the Liberation Fleet. Across Vex space, the other 20 human ships began their coordinated attacks on key Vex military installations and control centers. The enemy had fallen into exactly the trap Junho had planned. Vex ships are moving to intercept, Ji reported. They're in range in 30 seconds. All ships prepare to engage, Junho ordered. Remember your training. Remember Earth. The space around the Vex homeworld erupted in battle. Energy weapons fired from both sides, lighting up the darkness. Missiles tracked their targets through the chaos. Shields flared as they absorbed impacts. The human ships, though outnumbered, fought with disciplined coordination. Their weapons, based on Vex technology but improved by human innovation, cut through enemy defenses. The Vex flagship is targeting us, Ji-hye warned. Multiple weapons lock. Evasive maneuvers, Junho ordered calmly. Bring us around for a counterattack on their engines. The Retribution shuddered as Vex weapons fire impacted its shields. But the massive human warship turned gracefully and returned fire. Its main cannons tearing through the Vex flagship's rear defenses. Direct hit on their propulsion systems, Ji-hye reported with satisfaction. Their flagship is crippled. Across the battlefield, the human ships pressed their advantage. 3 Vex warships were already drifting, disabled. 2 more had been destroyed when their captains refused to surrender. Admiral, called out Sensor Officer Choi Hana, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the planet's surface. They're powering up something big. Junho frowned. Analysis. It appears to be a planetary defense weapon. Power output is enormous. Target coordinates. Hana worked her console quickly. Got it. Sending targeting data to all ships. Junho opened a channel to the fleet. All vessels, priority target identified. Converge fire on these coordinates. Maximum power. The human ships, even those engaged with Vex warships, adjusted their positions. As one, they fired their main weapons at a single point on the planet's surface. The combined energy beams cut through the atmosphere and struck a massive installation that had been hidden beneath a mountain. The resulting explosion was visible from space, a flash of light followed by a shockwave that flattened everything for kilometers. Around. Target destroyed, Hana confirmed. The energy readings are gone. Junho nodded grimly. Continue the assault. Push toward the capital city. The battle raged for hours. The Vex fought desperately to defend their homeworld, but they were facing an enemy unlike any they had encountered before. Humans fought with a combination of tactical precision and fierce determination that the Vex couldn't match as the human ships broke through the orbital defenses and moved into position. Above the Vex capital, Minjun reported. We're receiving a transmission from the Vex High Command. They're requesting terms for surrender. A hush fell over the bridge. After years of fighting, after decades of preparation, the moment had finally come. Junho straightened his uniform. Put them on screen. The main display showed a Vex leader, taller than most of its kind with ornate markings on its exoskeleton. Its compound eyes seemed to shimmer with a mixture of fear and hatred. You are the humans, it said, its translated voice eerily flat. The species we believed we had subdued. You failed, Junho replied simply. And now you face the consequences of your actions. What are your terms? The Vex leader asked. Unconditional surrender. Immediate cessation of all hostilities against human forces and our allies. Complete withdrawal from all worlds you have conquered. Your empire ends today. The Vex leader's mandibles clicked in what might have been agitation. And if we refuse? Yunho's expression hardened. Then we finish what we started. Your homeworld will fall. Your species will survive, but your dominion over others will not. There was a long pause. Finally, the Vex leader said, We will discuss your terms. Cease fire for 2 hours while our leadership convenes. After the transmission ended, the bridge erupted in controlled celebration. Officers embraced or shed quiet tears. 20 years of effort, from the day the alien ship crashed on Earth to this moment, had led to this victory. But Junho remained cautious. Maintain battle readiness. This isn't over until they formally surrender. 2 hours later, the Vex leadership contacted them again. They had accepted all terms. The war was over. As news spread throughout human ships and to their allies across former Vex space, celebrations began. Species that had been enslaved for centuries or millennia tasted freedom for the first time. On the bridge of the Retribution, Jihye asked quietly, Was it worth it, Admiral? All the years of preparation? All the lives lost in battle? Hunyo looked at the Vex homeworld on the screen. Ask the billions they enslaved. Ask the worlds they stripped bare. Ask Earth. He paused. Yes, it was worth it. But our work isn't done. Winning the war was just the beginning. Now we have to build the peace. 1 year after the Vex surrender, representatives from 38 species gathered on the neutral space station Harmony. Built in orbit around a previously uninhabited world, the station represented something new in this part of the galaxy. Cooperation instead of conquest. Ambassador Bay. Jiyoung adjusted her formal uniform as she prepared to address the first official meeting of the Galactic Council. At 58, she had been just a young diplomat when the Vex attacked Earth. Now she represented humanity to the stars. Are you ready, Ambassador? Asked her aide Kim Junho. Jiyoung nodded. 21 years, Junho? 21 years since they came to our world? And now we're here, helping build something new. The council chamber was a large circular room with seats for each member species. In the center stood a speaking platform. Above, a transparent dome showed the stars, a reminder of what united them all. As Jiyoung entered, representatives from dozens of worlds turned to look at her. Some resembled insects, others reptiles or mammals. Some breathed different atmospheres and wore special suits. All had suffered under Vex rule. All now looked to humanity with a mixture of respect, gratitude, and wariness. The council chair, a tall being from a species called the Navar, called the meeting to order. Today marks the formal establishment of the Galactic Council, a body dedicated to cooperation, mutual defense, and peaceful resolution of conflicts. As is fitting, our first speaker is the representative of the species that made this possible. Ambassador Bay of Earth, please address the council. Jiyoung stepped onto the platform. Translation devices ensured that every being present would understand her words. Honored representatives, she began. Humanity did not come to the stars seeking conquest. We came seeking justice for our world and for all who suffered under Vex tyranny. Now that justice has been achieved, we seek something greater. Alliance, partnership, a new order where no civilization may prey upon another. She paused, looking around the chamber. Some of you fear that humans will simply replace the Vex as the dominant power. I understand that fear. We were unknown to you until we appeared with powerful ships and weapons. But I assure you that is not our path. She gestured toward the stars visible through the dome. The galaxy is vast, with room for all our peoples to grow and flourish. The technology we have developed and the knowledge we have gained will be shared. The defensive alliance we propose will protect all member worlds equally. No species will stand above others. As she continued outlining humanity's vision for the future, many representatives nodded in agreement. Others remained skeptical but interested. After the speech, the formal signing of the Galactic Charter began. One by one, representatives added their signatures or equivalent marks to the document that would bind their worlds together in mutual defense and cooperation. Meanwhile, across former Vex space, the work of rebuilding continued. Human engineers helped restore worlds that had been damaged by centuries of exploitation. Human scientists worked with other species to advance medicine, agriculture, and clean energy. The EDS Phoenix, humanity's newest and most advanced vessel, served as a mobile headquarters for these efforts. Aboard the ship, General Park Ji-won, now in his 60s, watched as they approached yet another world that needed assistance. This one was a Vex mining colony, reported Captain Kim Do-yun, checking her data pad. They stripped the surface for minerals and left it barely habitable. The native population was reduced to working in the mines. Ji-won nodded, his face showing the scars of battles fought across many worlds. What do they need most? Clean water systems. The Vex contaminated most of the groundwater. And medical aid. Many suffer from respiratory diseases from the mining operations. Make it happen, Ji-won ordered. Priority on medical supplies and water purification. As they watched teams prepare to descend to the planet's surface, Do-hyun asked quietly, "Did you ever imagine this is where we'd end up?" When we found that crashed ship all those years ago, Ji-won was silent for a moment, remembering the crater in Korea, the broken alien vessel, the first days of trying to understand technology that seemed like magic. "No," he admitted. "Back then, all I could think about was survival. Then revenge. It took years before I could see beyond that. And now?" Ji-won gestured toward the planet below them. "Now I see possibility. We came to the stars as vengeance, but we can stay as something more." Later that day, Ji-won walked through the ship's memorial hall, a quiet space dedicated to those who had been lost. Names of Earth cities destroyed in the attack, names of soldiers who had fallen in the war against the Vex. And at the center, a simple hologram showing Earth as seen from space, beautiful and blue. A young officer approached and saluted. "Sir, we've received a message from Ambassador Bay. The Galactic Charter has been signed." "It's official," Ji-won nodded. "Thank you, Lieutenant." When the officer had gone, he turned back to the hologram of Earth. "We did it," he said softly to the image of his homeworld. "We survived. We fought back. And now we're building something that will last." On worlds across the former Vex Empire, beings of all kinds looked up at unfamiliar stars, and, for the first time in generations, felt hope. Ships that had once brought conquerors now brought aid. Technology that had been used to oppress was repurposed to heal and build. And on Earth, children who had never known the fear of alien invasion learned about the wider galaxy, not as a place of danger, but as a community of worlds their parents and grandparents had helped create. In a classroom in rebuilt Seoul, a teacher pointed to a star map showing the newly formed Galactic Council territories. The Vex thought they left behind wreckage, she told her students. Instead, they left behind the seeds of their own destruction and humanity's rebirth. Remember this lesson. Even in our darkest hour, we found strength. And when we reached the stars, we found not just revenge, but redemption. Outside the window, the first embassy for non-human species on Earth was nearing completion, a gleaming structure designed to accommodate visitors from dozens of worlds. Above it flew a new flag, Earth's traditional blue and white, now joined by a field of stars representing their new allies. The age of isolation was over. The age of conquest had ended. A new dawn had begun,